Hello, everybody. Good evening. Welcome back tonight for a detox practice. We're going to get started right at 7:30. I like to come on, hopefully, most of the time about 10 minutes early so people can get settled. If not, sometimes 15. And then if you have any questions or if you need anything, I'm back in a Wi-Fi, strong enough Wi-Fi signal. So hopefully I can get on the live chat with you guys. I'm going to try that right now. All right. Looks like we're able to get on here. Let me know if you guys have any questions. If you're getting set up for your practice, have a stack with you, a yoga block, or you can also use a pillow or a blanket to support your body in detox. Era, good evening. Hope you're doing well. Hi, Sue. Welcome back, you guys. Yes, missed you guys last night as well. That was um, the second day. 2 days, I think, where since March 16th, when the initial lockdown and quarantine started happening here in Los 2 days where we didn't stream at least one class out of that whole time. So it's definitely a different feeling. We've all gotten into this groove with the practice, which is so nice to have. But thank you guys for allowing us to explore yesterday in that way without a live class. You still had the opportunity, hopefully, if you wanted to practice on a recorded class. These detox classes, you can go back to them anytime. You can do them over and over and over again, and they're always going to have something special waiting for you in them. So I wouldn't count them out after one time. Feel free to do them many times. Hi, Nikita. Thanks, Kesu. Thanks, Sarah. I mean, I love to practice every day, as you guys know. So it's actually challenging to broadcast. It's the broadcasting part of it. I think is so great that we can have this platform and share the practices with each other, but still practice every day and move and breathe, and it always puts us in a different place. We come out the other side. Even if you're coming in tonight and you're already feeling pretty calm and relaxed, and for us it's like nice to get back to our home, and from where we were, I can still feel so much of that space. And this is like a yoga practice when you feel the space and you just hope that it lasts much longer before the starts to change those feelings of where you were. So try to account for them, acknowledge them, remember them, appreciate them, all of those things, so that we can feel them as long as we possibly can. Hi, Jess. All right, so if you are ready, hi, Emily. Let's go ahead and start lying down on your back, please. You can lie flat. You can put a pillow underneath your head. Put little pillows or blankets behind your knees when you lie down, anything to support and the relaxation of your muscles. Maybe let some more weight come into our joints. You work deep in that state of stillness during the compression, during the resistance and the weight and the sensations, and all of that is really such an important, it is the importance of this practice. And so look how far you've likely come, and this type of class gets tagged so many times with, oh, I can't sit still, I can't do that. You hear a lot of I can't, and then once you allow your nervous system to actually be with the process versus trying to declare what your mind wants it to be, and you'll see that you can sit in these poses much longer than you thought you could. And now that you're lying down, and take a scan from your toes to your nose and see what you're feeling in your body tonight. Previous practice, in part stressful day, or could have been a physically, if you just put physical demand on your body. What if you went for a long hike today and your body's just feeling that, your hips, and from the repetition, a little tightness in your low back. So it can be anything that can contribute to what you're feeling. But as you lie down, let's explore in the acknowledgement of those sensations, that they exist, and that helps us pull us or draw us into our mat, into our practice tonight. Yeah, I know it's not the Midwest in the winter where I'm from, but it is, beautifully chilly in the evenings and in the mornings right now in California, and then nice and warm during the middle of the day. So hence why I have a winter hat on as we practice outside tonight. And let's fall into that mode of observation one more time, and where you've been today, and the things you may not even realize because you're about your day. But think of all the places and all the things that you've done with your body today. It'd be pretty simple if your day was mostly spent Netflixing. That would be an easy, way to understand where your body's been today. But if you've been moving around and consider all the directions, all the shapes, and all the changes, and every time you sat down, you stood up, you moved forward, you moved backward. It's pretty fascinating. As though somebody was drawing just a line of everywhere you went in your day. Because now we're going to land in one spot. We won't leave in the 5 foot by 2.5 foot rectangle that you're lying on right now. We won't leave that for an entire hour. It's crazy. I know you all have gotten used to it and you're like, label it as a yoga class. But it is crazy in the world that we live in. And for someone to stay on there, kind of 5 feet by 2.5 feet for an hour. So that's what we're hoping to, build more awareness around the benefits of being in one place for a longer period of time. Bend your legs, please, so that your feet are flat. And widen the low back and the sacrum. Separate your feet wider than your hips. And let your knees turn into each other. So that should flatten your low back into the mat. It'll take some of that extension, your lordosis, and the curve through your lower spine out. Let your belly get heavy. And resting down through your low back, and then your ribs can soften in. Whatever feels good in your arms. If you'd like to have the arms wrapped around your sides and your hands planted on your chest, you can do that. If you'd rather have your arms straight out by your sides, then you can do that as well. Find what feels good. It's always the first 30 seconds, or find what feels. First 30 seconds, and then without negotiation, somewhere between 30 and 45 seconds. So that gives you a feel rushed in getting from one position to the next. And then without negotiating, become absolutely still as you observe, as you watch the air, the breath, the function of the lungs, the diaphragm, the belly, the primary muscles, the secondary muscles that are working for you to breathe, and then every other muscle around them. And can relax to a certain degree. Maybe not all the way. That's fine. But heading in that direction of relaxation versus activation. Because of my recent past, I have a vivid memory to my core. As I was explaining to you, the beautiful background noise. The fact that you could hear the wind in the wings of the birds when they flew over you. That's how quiet it was. The hummingbirds would come 5, 10 feet above your head, and you can feel the vibration of the hummingbird wings. Now that we're back in the city, there's a constant flow of traffic. You can feel the proximity with other people. Noises coming from yards and homes around, people talking. And still yet there's some birds chirping. the sound of an airplane flying through the sky. And what I'm trying to explain is the process and to observe. So you're not trying to change it. I can't remove myself from my environment in the moment. And if I try to, and that becomes a stress that I don't need to sit with. If I long to be back in the country and then just build up that resentment around where I am versus where I want to be, that's not serving anybody. And so we're practicing in the layers. We're co-creators of space and peace. As we can continue to expand, in so many ways, it's just how you look at it. And slowly take the knees apart. And feel your low back. And now your knees are hip width. Take a nice deep belly breath. And then you can exhale and sigh. Release all the air from your lungs. And scoot your hips over to the right a little bit. And then roll over onto your left-hand side tonight and come into the fetal position. So your left arm is over your head. And legs are bent. Right hip stacked on top. It feels good. Close your eyes. You may realize that you're relaxing your belly and the bigger muscles of your body, but relax the small muscles in your body as well. And the sides of your eyes. The muscles around your lips. And that can turn your face into a smile. And stay low to your mat. Use your right hand. Start to come around onto your belly with your legs straight out behind you. As you work onto your belly, walk your elbows in underneath your shoulders. Separate your feet and your knees as wide as you'd like. As you feel some of this in your low back, top of your bum. Take a breath, release your belly, let it soften, and your chin a little closer to your chest. And you may feel this more on one side of your low back versus the other. And of course, you have the dominance in relation to your body and what your primary side is versus your secondary. So if you're dominant right-handed, right leg, and that side may feel a little bit tighter in certain positions. And let's take this into the shoulders and across the upper back. So right arm goes behind your left elbow, and then slide your right arm straight out to the left. And then your left arm comes out to the right, and so your elbows are crossing. And tuck your toes under, and then scoot your hips forward. So we want more of the chest and the torso and coming down over the arms. Once you get a good amount of your chest into your arms, and now we can let the weight of the upper body come down to create the sensations we want to feel in our shoulders and our neck. You might get a little pop and release right in the middle part of your spine. As your head comes down, it can turn any way it wants to as it navigates your arms, but anywhere your head wants to go where you can relax in the stillness. And feel the space in your back. You might have some tingles in your fingers and through your hands. We'll spend about 1 more minute. You say observational clarity as things pop up through your mind. They can be a little bit more clear in this moment than the last time that they popped up. That would be awesome. If they're just as confusing, don't worry about it. The most simple way to describe it is that you're here and you're allowing, even if you don't think you're allowing things to come up, you're allowing things to come up, and that's going to be a much healthier internal existence. And we must start inside of ourselves. And if we're not inside of ourselves, we have tools and we have teachers and we have ways to navigate that transition and to go inside of ourselves, which isn't necessarily easy, but that's what we're doing. You begin to lift your head up first. Light movement in your fingers. You can wiggle your fingers. And start to slide your left elbow back and then bring your right elbow out. You feel all of that. Use your hands underneath your shoulders and then slowly come up to all fours. And those arms and the shoulders and the back, you might feel pretty achy, pretty heavy. That's okay. As you come out of it, take a deep breath and a light sigh. can move the hips a little bit and side to side. Don't worry about what it looks like. You can always even have your eyes closed. Don't worry about what it looks like. As you come back to center, bring your right foot forward in between your hands. And more padding under your left knee, you can. And you guys know what driving in a car does? It makes your body tighter. So as you become more sensitive and more aware of the openness of your body, when there is an activity that is a counter to that, or sometimes, just a good healthy stabilizer, holding a posture longer than you normally do, you'll come back and you'll be able to feel, the difference on a much more finite level, so it won't be as kind of lost in your subconscious. Consciously, you'll be able to identify, wow, my body feels different, when I do A, B, or C. As we set it up, one hand on each side of your right foot in the lunge. And you can let your head start to hang heavy. And it's relaxing some of that neutral space and that we just opened up and through your shoulders. But now you might receive more sensation to your neck. A weight or feeling behind your eyes. Pressure, if it's been building up in your hips and your heart, is just going to flow up, and it's going to be, some kind of sensation. Whether or not you think it's uncomfortable is something for you to explore. And for the most part, dedicating yourself into the stillness. I say most part because I never want you sitting in sharpshooting pain of any kind. And discomfort and compression, the resistance, is a beautiful teacher that sits inside of us. But to sit in pain, based on what's going on in your body, you should make some adjustments intuitively so that you can feel it, but you're not agonizing in pain at any point. And think of the resistance or the compression that you're sitting in as an assistant to your awakening, to your acknowledgement of your feelings and your thoughts and what's going on in your life and in the world, right? In close proximity, your local and community, to the broader context of all the people that are spinning around. We're all spinning around like a top on a sphere, just spinning. And so the resistance is the assistance, and It calls us to continue to pick up and wake up. It's so beautiful to see and to witness. Sometimes we get to share it, to tell each other about this practice that I had and what unfolded that I never thought was going to be unfolding while I was, in this position, and you get it, so on. You watch 10 more breaths on this side, please. And you go back to all the tiny muscles in the face, let those soften. Be gentle with yourself as you start to come out of this compression. Move your hips back. Ooh. Slide your right knee behind you. Make your way onto all fours. And we're going to release that right side by coming down onto our left elbow. And we'll lay off onto the left hip with your leg straight, and your right leg is somewhat stacked over your left leg. So move your left elbow forward a little bit more. And we're going to get heavy in the left shoulder so your side body can collapse. And so we're actually putting weight. And you'll feel this if you're not used to feeling, or if you're feeling the ill effects in the tops of your shoulders in your vinyasa classes. We're intentionally putting weight into the AC joint on the top of your left shoulder. So take a breath, little sigh, and then we want gravity just to work on us laterally. You can let your chin settle into your chest. All the while your right hip is experiencing its rebound. And so we don't do this all the time, but in detox you could be rebounding in one part of your body. Normally we do the entire body. And then compressing and, starting something new in another part of your body. And see if you can witness both happening at the same time. Firm into your left forearm. Start to lift your chest and your head back up. And now let's slowly roll over onto our bellies. And use your right hand. Put a little weight into your right hand to support this release on the left shoulder. And as you come onto your belly, release your arms all the way down by your sides. And then rest your right cheek down onto your mat, please. Now feel the full body rebound and release. Letting out, letting in. And being open. I don't know why. And we as human beings close ourselves down, fall into the traps. And we're so easily manipulated by energy and other people, other humans. But I believe it's also just as easy and to navigate your way out of those situations and to be really clear. That doesn't mean that it's going to be easy to communicate this clarity, right, or to take action upon in this clarity, but as long as it starts inside and you can feel and acknowledge the truth and the shift, it may take you some cycles and repetition, but eventually you're going to break through it, no matter what it is. And feel the breath in your belly expand into the mat. At the end of your exhale, start to bring your chin back onto the ground. Slide your elbows back underneath your shoulders. Elbows in closer and versus further away. You can separate your knees, reset your feet a little bit wider. You untuck the front of your hips. And then release the belly, general compression. So like a layer of compression across your low back. And let's bring the left arm behind the right elbow. And start to slide your left arm all the way across the mat. And then take your right arm to the left, and so that your elbows line up with the midline of your body. Your arms reached out as far as you can. Tuck your toes under. And then scoot your hips forward one time so we get more of the chest. And coming down over the arms. As you start to bring the chest down, once you find in where you're going to be able to settle, you can untuck your toes. And let the weight of the upper body and do all of the work for you in your shoulders, in your chest, across your back, underneath your shoulder blades, in your neck, all the way up to the back of your head. You may really be feeling how much you put in your shoulders and how much you absorb in your shoulders and your back. It helps once you begin to identify and understand these things about your body, as you know where your body has been. Nobody else knows incomplete where your body's been. Start to float your forehead up. Take it slow as we start to bring your left arm back out. And then your right elbow comes back out. No rush. Press down through your knees. Walk your hands in. Come up to a tabletop, all fours. And keep the head heavy. Oh my gosh. Did you guys see that? Shake your head. Wag your tail. How was the falcon? We have a falcon who has left a feather on the yoga mat that has been coming around for probably four years. And So we're going to go with that. Let's bring your left foot forward in between your hands and set up our lunge. Make some space. Take your right knee back. And you've got one hand on each side of your front foot. And support as you really lay into those hips tonight. And yes, we're doing this because I was A, driving, but B, one of our students, Jason, was saying, hey, can we do some of those good old-fashioned low lunges and hold them for a really long time? Of course we can. You remember, the resistance, the compression is the assistance so that we can continue to wake up. We're not doing harm upon ourselves. We're waking up. We're sitting in some things layered about life, physical, mental, emotional, that are uncomfortable. And, what a luxury to say, oh, I don't want to feel this right now, or I really don't want to think about that. Like, such a luxury, luxurious perspective, and to even be able to speak those words in that context. You sit as though you have no other choice. And sit as though it's a responsibility just like any other responsibility that you have. And to be still and to allow your practice of meditation to be, bigger part of our existence. And see what happens. And relax all the little muscles on your face And then we'll observe and get as heavy as we possibly can for about 10 more breaths. And relax the tongue, feel the space across your upper back. And keep the head heavy, move slowly as you start to bring your hips and your left knee back behind you. And as you come onto all fours, take a moment here. Might feel good. Take a little sigh. And then we're going to come down onto our right hip. So I'm just turning so that I can face you. And just take your legs out and come over onto your right hip. And so we're releasing the left hip crease. And set your right elbow a little bit further forward, and so that we can collapse in the right side body. And then as the right side body collapses, is going to put that weight on the top of your shoulder, your AC joint. And once you find it, on the top of the shoulder, you might really feel it. All good. Let your chin settle in. Hold on to so much in our shoulders and our chests, our back underneath our shoulder blades, the sides of the neck. It should all make sense, if we're not treating our body, if we don't have ways to move things about our body, work with its natural biological functions, and then you understand pretty clearly how the flow can become stagnant, stuck. And so as I've mentioned several times, especially in more stressful situations and when life is really throwing it at us, then this should be a practice that is daily, turning the light on, moving the energy through, acknowledging our feelings, observing our emotions and our thoughts, and having a practice that is playful, not necessarily, so serious all the time. And just open and willing to be in it on a daily basis. Right, you can lift your chest a little bit, lift your chin, and now we'll turn over onto the belly into the full body rebound. Once you get onto your stomach, release both arms down by your sides. And turn your left cheek onto the mat this time. Feel it. Letting it in, letting it out. It's a two-way street. Letting it in, letting it out. You're no longer harboring those heavy emotions or the experiences that have been less than favorable in your life up to this point. You don't have to hold on to them. And you can acknowledge them. They can become something reinforcing positivity in practice. You just keep deepening a relationship with inner peace and light, love and compassion, awareness and observation, wisdom, and seeking truth within ourselves. And without validation, and when you actually find yourself in the moment like this, who cares where we're going? We don't know where we're going. Feel your belly in the mat. Take an inhale. And sigh, fully exhale the air from your lungs. And bring your chin back to center and so that your neck is neutral. And set your forearms underneath your chin and so you have a chin rest. And then once you've got your chin rested, curl your heels over your knees. And windshield wiper your knees side to side. And feel from where we started in the low back, across the sacrum, and having traveled through our hips, in an obvious relationship with our shoulders tonight. And side to side with your legs. And you may be able to observe a little bit more balance and related to the sensations. Perhaps one leg or one hip doesn't feel, as variable tight as the other, or vice versa. And you work some things through. You bring your legs back down onto the ground. Slide your hands underneath your shoulders one last time. And bring yourself all the way back up to all fours. If you would like to have something to drink, you are welcome to it. And then once you're done, turn around and lie down flat onto your back. And we'll come into our final resting pose tonight. As we love to, as we know, Shavasana. And hopefully feel the looseness, the release. If you have a blanket and you want to cover yourself, you can do that. If you have a pillow, or if you just want to cover your eyes, you can do that as well as you come to lie down. And so here's a really simple way of feeling the vibrancy of your detox practice. It's not about the relationship that you have into the stories that come up. We think life is so much about the relationship that we have to the story we're telling ourselves, the story that somebody else is telling us. When that all goes into that layer where it's faded, and like you can see it, but it's faded, you actually fall into the moment. You actually fall into the beauty of being where you are, even if it's incredibly challenging. Like you could be so stressed out and still have a beautiful moment when you get to that place in yourself where you're like, this is where I am. And so as we build up these practices inside of ourselves, they can take, time and repetition to get it, but we just put it out there. That's why I say, if you want to, you could do these classes many, many times. And finding that point in where you are feeling that sense, in where you dropped in, the fade happened, you didn't try to make it happen. Everything's still going on around you. It's pretty special. And in so many ways, how we can all use like a massive, massive group hug. Just feel that chest to chest, heart to heart energy of another being. We're being called to dig deep inside of ourselves and to be acknowledged within ourselves. This love, it just keeps going. And if you haven't found it in yourself yet, keep showing up and stay on the page, stay on the practice. And let the breath give the mind a chance and to reconcile peace, loving kindness, and awareness, no matter what's happening around us, and then we can contribute from there. Then our actions are coming from the right place. And to whom and to when and how and why, I don't know. We don't know how this is all going to play out. But we'll probably have a lot more energy and to show up and it's playing out on a regular basis. And so from our core, from the depth of our detox tonight, I give it all back to you guys. And thank you so much for sharing in this wisdom and your truth and your breath, and to be here on your mat. And I look forward to practicing with you tomorrow morning for our Sunday morning flow. Drink lots of water. Have a great rest, everybody. Beautiful night. Namaste.